This is a story about teenagers, what they're up to and where they're going. I think I know because I'm one myself. My name is Tom Reddick. Know where they're going, to Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. More than 52,000 of them are streaming in from every part of America, and a lot of foreign countries too, headed for the biggest adventure of their lives at the Boy Scout Jamboree. 52,000 of us went to Jamboree, representing over 4.5 million members of the Boy Scouts of America. Here at Jamboree, we set up shop and showed the world what we believed in. We made up the biggest voluntary youth get-together the world has ever seen. 4.5 million boys who follow the Scout law, who are training for manhood under a pledge to God and their country. I guess we could call ourselves one of America's biggest natural resources. At Jamboree, we pitched our tents and settled in for a week of fun and inspiration. The next 7 days brought home to every one of us just what scouting is all about. What a strength it is for the future of our country, and the world, too. But before the show got underway, we had to make camp. This Lister bag is for water, and filling it was heavy going. Lucky these milk cartons are light, because we hefted plenty of them. At Jamboree, we drank 75,000 quarts of milk every day. That's more than 500,000 quarts in 1 week. One thing we go for is milk, and lots of it. While supplies of food and drink kept pouring in, we turned our hand to building Scout City. Signal towers sprouted like beanstalks. And every region had its own front door, the product of months of work back home. Boy, when you looked at them, you really got the picture fast, how big our country is, how much history is packed into every state. And maybe you realized something else that gave you a thrill. Most of the history tells about people who fought for freedom, for all of us. Even the beginning of our freedom was shown. The Massachusetts boys' Mayflower, which flew a flag carried by the Mayflower II. Tents pitched and gateways up, here's how we looked. Our encampment sprawled over 1,500 tight-packed acres. But if every Boy Scout in America could have been there, we'd have needed 100 times the space. And yet the Scout movement started less than 50 years ago. Here's a man who remembers it all, Otto Hornen, but he's Uncle Otto to millions of us. He organized one of the first troops in America in 1908, but the idea came from England, from Lord Baden-Powell, whose picture was on the emblem back of the Jamboree stage. Baden-Powell started the movement in England, and it jumped in a year's time to America. Of course, we American Scouts put our own Made in USA stamp on the movement. We took as a model our first president, General George Washington. Right here at Valley Forge, he met the test of manhood and proved himself a great patriot. Without him, there'd be no stars and stripes to raise over our encampment. Many scouting countries of the free world raised their flags with ours at Valley Forge. As a scout, you share a special brotherhood with other scouts in each of these countries. We were told one night just how much this worldwide movement means to peace by a very important person, the Vice President of the United States himself. Every day at Jamboree, we practiced skills of outdoor living. This country was founded by woodsmen and farmers and explorers who needed sharp eyes and sharp wits to survive in the early days. Their training made them self-reliant and brave. City boys in the 20th century have a lot to learn from camp life. Why it pays to be physically fit and mentally alert, and what a kick it gives you to do it yourself, like your ancestors. Yes, we're outdoor types, and so ever since Teddy Roosevelt's time, we Scouts have worked hard to conserve this land of ours. We know that nature sometimes needs protection from man. At Jamboree, we learned how to fight soil erosion. And we studied the different ways of controlling floods. We learned the importance of protecting wildlife, like this little fawn that lost its mother. A ranger showed how they spot forest fires and all the wonderful things that come from trees. This sample of pulpwood, which is used for things like paper eating utensils, and it took a mountain of pulpwood to keep us fed at Jamboree. We used up 9.5 million paper products, like plates and cups and napkins. Not to mention more than 1/2 million disposable milk cartons, like the ones the milk's delivered in at home. Milk, nature's most nearly perfect food. The Jamboree Handbook taught us that even when milk cartons are empty, they're still useful. Because you can crush them up and use them as kindling to start your fire. And there's a tip for our family cookouts. This outdoor life sure gives a man an appetite, and the fellows who do KP duty fed us pretty well. They had to, or leave town. Camping out, you use shortcuts, but not short rations. Ah, my culinary masterpiece. So they're a little burned. Hurry up with that chow. But it took more than food to satisfy the inner scout. It took inspiration, and we had lots of it. The history that was all around us at Valley Forge. It was here in 1777 that General Washington and his army camped. It was a long, cold winter, and 3,000 men died. But when it was over, Washington and his soldiers went out and won freedom for all of us. The American past still lives in our scouting traditions, and in our skits at Jamboree, we live the Valley Forge story again. Every region had its own history to tell. These boys from Oregon showed us Indian dances. They were actual descendants of the braves who used to dance on the Western Plains. Dancing fools, aren't we? These scouts from Holland, Michigan reminded us how our country was settled by people from all over Europe. Up there, they still keep the old ways alive. More in the wood carving line. Seattle boys carved an authentic totem pole for us. Indians again, and how we love them. Here's a good trick. Remember Paul Bunyan? He made his fire this way. Well, that's the story. Tall man, tall story. In logging camps where Paul Bunyan was a legend, they used to play this little game. Swell exercise for a hot day. And in a scout's eye view of history, cowboys rank with the best of them. These are Canadian scouts spinning the ropes. Speaking of cowboys, leads us right back to, well, you know. Whenever we had a free minute at Jamboree, we flocked together for a special scout custom, the swap session. To look at, it's just boys trading things with each other. But in scout tradition, it's a great way to make friends out of strangers and learn about other parts of our country. We had everything from gold nuggets, to tame horned toads. Going home with our loot, we felt we were taking a little bit of every part of America with us. This swap session's a little different. These scouts see with their fingertips. Over 700 units train boys with different handicaps in the way of scouting, and they make some of our finest members. No swapping here, just howdy-doos. At Jamboree, strangers turned into buddies in the good old scouting way. When day is done, the real meaning of scouting friendship comes out strong around the old campfire. The kind of moment we'll never forget.
She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be driving 6 white horses. She'll be driving 6 white horses. She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes. Pull back,
At Valley Forge, the Scout movement brings together boys of every faith, but each of them worships in the spirit of George Washington's prayer. Almighty God, who has given us this good land for our heritage, we humbly beseech thee that we may always prove ourselves a mindful people of thy favor and glad to do thy will. Over the past 48 years, more than 26 million Americans have been members of the Boy Scouts of America, and the Scout story has just begun. Today, nearly 5 million boys live by Scout law. Following in the footsteps of great men like Teddy Roosevelt, Dan Beard, Colin Kelly, Dr. Ralph Bunche, Danny Kaye, Phil Rizzuto, and General Kurt LeMay. The future is in our hands. The boy down the street, the kid next door. We're Scouts, good citizens today and leaders of tomorrow, pledged to do our best for God and our country.